Hello and welcome to Nerd Tactics. My name is Robert. Today we are going to be covering some basics for setting up and running temp towers. To start off with, we need to import a temp tower. I personally am going to be running a 180 to 210 PLA temp tower. I'm doing this because the PLA that I'm using currently was looking really good at 190 in my 190 to 220 test. And I've been printing it at 185, and I kind of want to see where I'm supposed to be in this range. This is a great test for people who are printing PLA. This is a very good range for PLA. I will attempt to put a link in the description of this video to this tower, which I am a fan of. So let's get started. This temp tower, we need to set up the different layers of the temperature. And as you see down here at the bottom, this one starts at 210. So if you look over here in my Cura settings, you'll see that I have set my printing temperature to 210. What that is only going to control is this bottom piece. We are going to change the temperatures for each subsequent layer after that. I currently have my build plate at 55. This is a very good build plate temperature for me on my Anycubic i3 Mega S. I have other machines. I run different build plate temperatures, so it's going to depend on how you have your machine set up. So getting started, we have 210 to start off with, and we're going to go up here to Extensions, Post-Processing, Modify G-Code. Don't get intimidated by this. A lot of this is automatic, and if you follow these steps, it's going to be pretty simple. We are going to go here to Change at Z, and I'm actually going to create 6 of these Change at Z scripts for this. This is going to stop us from going in here in the middle and having to change things. Change at Z, there's 6 of them. So we know that our print started at 210. We're going to need our first step to be at 205. Now, with this file came a README, and you guys will see it as well. There's one error in it, and I will point that out to you guys. Unfortunately, I can't screen capture Cura and show you this, but essentially it gives you the heights for each one of these temperature changes. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to come in here, and the first change is at 16.46. We're going to change the extruder temperature from 210, which is where it was, to 205, because that's how it's marked on the temp tower. Okay, and we are going to repeat that with each subsequent layer. So the next one is 29.92. We're going to change it to 200. And the next one is, this is where the error is. It's 43.38, not 48, which you will find in the README. And here we're going from, let's see, we went to 205, 200. This will be 195. Next is 56.84, 0.84, and we are going to 190. Here we are at 70.3, and we will be changing it to 185. And finally, at 83.76, we are going to be changing the temp to 180. Perfect. So now that this is done, what we have done is at each one of these layers, at each one of these Z heights, we have gone through and changed the temperature that correspond to our temp tower. Now if I close this, it's going to look exactly the same. You're not going to find anything different in the previews. A couple things we do want to make sure we do is that we have supports turned completely off. I print with a brim because I have a little bit of bed adhesion problems, but that's going to depend a little bit on your personal preference. I know 210 I'm not really looking at with this filament, but it's a good start. So we're going to do that. We're going to save it. I'm going to be loading this into Octoprint, so I save my G-code files. I'm going to save this one right here in the same folder, and I'll be loading that into Octoprint and printing this out. And okay, y'all. I have just finished printing the Temp Tower that I promised you, and we got some interesting results, actually. I'm kind of seeing exactly where I want to be printing. I am going to cut now to showing you this up close, and we'll walk through kind of what we're seeing. Okay, so I want to apologize a little bit about the sound quality. I do have a printer going next to me, but we're going to get into this Temp Tower now, kind of discuss how to read them. So this Temp Tower, and part of the reason I like it so much, is it has a bunch of different features that we can look at. So starting here, we have the different temperatures that we set it to in the previous video, and it did change at each one of these. Now, first of all, if we look down here at the 210, which I'll try and get it so you can see it better, we'll see that it looks actually really good at 210. We don't have the overhangs turned out really nice. Over here we had a little bit of an overhang issue, no big bulging or anything like that, but it looks good there. As we go up, you'll see that certain things get a little bit worse, but our overhangs actually get better up to about, let's see, 195 right here. At 195 we have a really good surface finish here. I'm sorry I printed this in white. The next one I'll do in a better color. At 195 we have a good change there. And one thing that I like to look at is the letters. This 195 has some issues right there on that 5. If we turn it to the side, we'll see that we had some extrusion issues or an overhang issue here with the weight. And that gets a little bit better up here at 190. Now at 190, it looks like we had an under extrusion line. But for the most part, it's really good. So this 195 is probably the best for overhangs, followed by this 190. Oh, maybe this 185. Look at this. But what we're seeing here is at 180, we have almost perfect overhangs. You see that? This is kind of where we start to try and make our decisions. In fact, if we look at the letters here, at the numbers, the 180 actually looks really good here. We get a little bit of an overhang issue on this side, but not terrible. And then on this side, what I really like is this does the curved overhangs. So if we look here at the very top one, we actually have really good, it actually fails much later than we do further down here. If we look at the, what is that, 210? I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but we actually have some pretty substantial errors in those overhangs. As we move up in temperature, though, you can see here at 180 that this is looking pretty good. I wouldn't be super upset about that. And we're really clean up until we start having issues. However, at 180, I don't know if you can see this, but we're getting some stringing. This is often an issue when you drop the temperature a little bit low. So in my opinion, and here even at 185, I'm seeing a little bit of stringing. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just a little bit. But that, I get to decide now if 185, which has almost the best overhangs, and it has the smallest amount of stringing, and this looks good. It doesn't look nearly as good as the one above it, but it does look good. So do I want this stringing at 180, or do I want to print at 185? Obviously, those are the two best compared to these ones over here. Although
this material seems very resilient to temperature. I would say that I am looking in the 180 to 185 range, maybe even like 183. When I drop down to 190, we start getting some artifact errors. But this stringing, this is caused by stringing. This is what's causing these little bumps. It's essentially the same thing as stringing, but when it leaving the print to go to the take the picture for the time lapse. That's why we have these rips right here. So we can see if I wanted to get rid of stringing, I would have to go all the way down to 195. However, at 195, we have bigger issues. So it's kind of a pick and choose your battle. What are you willing to fight with? This does go to a 90-degree overhang, so that is pretty aggressive. But I think I might be in this 180 to 190 range. That's what I expected anyway, depending on exactly what I'm trying to do. For a helmet, this much stringing isn't a big deal. If I was printing something small that I wanted to, that didn't have a lot of overhangs, I might heat it up in order to get rid of the stringing and the bumps. So there you go, guys. That is my basic rundown of temp towers. I hope that this makes sense and gives you a little bit more information. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.